Physical intimacy changes when chronic pain and embarrassing digestive issues strike. Let's talk about the unsexy side of Black love. Welcome back if you're coming back to my channel. Virginia, I'm a licensed mental health therapist who was recently diagnosed with autoimmune disorder. And I want to get into something that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but something that's in the room in terms of our romantic relationships. I know I've been sitting with this with my husband as we've been kind of navigating this life of mommy has an autoimmune disorder now. So how does that change family life? How does that change things, in my marriage? And I keep track of my menstruation cycle. I also keep track on the same tracker of any time that we make love. And so one of the things that I was noticing is that they were starting to become almost like a decrease in frequency in terms of how often we're making love. So for those of you who are out there like, she keeps score, she keeps score. So I keep score. I want to know what's happening in my body. And when they ask me questions, I want to be able to answer the questions. Okay. And so I just kind of sat with my husband. I was like, hey, like I'm just noticing that, we haven't been as intimate as often. And so just kind of want to check in with you. Are you stressed? Are you tired? Are you frustrated? Because research shows that a lot of the number one intimacy killer is usually stress. Okay. So I checked in with him because I'm not that wife that wants her husband to always initiate lovemaking. Like I initiate as well. I want to be able to have some balance because everybody wants to feel loved and wanted and appreciated and touched. So I just kind of checked in with him. I was like, hey, I kind of noticed that it doesn't really matter who initiates, that it's just kind of like not happening. And so I just kind of wanted to check in with you to see, we've got a lot more things on our plate. There's a lot more stress. How is that affecting you? And so my husband is a very simple man. And so his answers were very simple. He's like, no, everything's fine. No, what do you mean? Oh, it's been that long. Oh, that's changed that much. And I'm like, yes, yes, it has. And not to throw any shade, but just to kind of like notice and just check in and see where we're at. So we had a really good conversation around it because I was coming from a place of like, hey, I know that this is a lot. And so just validating up front where he's at, what's going on with him, not putting all of the pressure of initiating on him as well. I tend to be the more responsive desire partner. He's the more spontaneous desire partner. So I don't want to put extra stress on him because then that feels extra pressured. That's not fun. And lovemaking should be fun. It should be a time of connecting. There should be lots of levity and joy in that experience. And so our conversation, I'm setting the tone at the very beginning as a place of, hey, our physical intimacy is important to me. I want to connect with you in this way. I love connecting with you in this way. And I miss you. I just miss you. So the conversation went really well. Like I said, initially, he was just very simple. And he's like, I guess we just need to just kind of just put it on the calendar. And so we talked about, I had a procedure coming up. And so he was like, okay, probably not that day, probably not the day after. So we're planning the crash days around procedures. And he's like, okay, what about this day? I'm like, that sounds great. Let's try this day. And if this day doesn't work, let's have this as our backup. So, which was nice for me because it gave me an opportunity to say, okay, I know when the kids go to bed, what have you, in the evening, this is going to be our time. And I want to make sure that I'm not putting too many things on my to-do list. So I'm not crashing too bad. And if I am crashing, I can try to catch it earlier in the day, resource myself so I can have that time, that one-on-one time to connect with my husband at the end of the day. So it worked out well for us. Some other tips for you all, because I know a lot of couples don't talk about sex. They just don't talk about it. And I know this because I see you in therapy. It's not unusual for me to have a couple that comes in and says, hey, Virginia, it's been a year since we've made love, or it's been 5 years since we've made love, or it's been 10 years since we've made love. Those are some very common, usually it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Those are the numbers that I tend to hear. So it is hard to have the conversation with your partner if for whatever reason y'all have not felt comfortable having those conversations before. The thing that made it a little bit trickier for me and for a lot of folks that I know of with autoimmune disorders is also as you're talking about lovemaking. With chronic illness, one of those things that happens is this is a sneaky spot for shame to slide in. And so when I say shame sliding in, I mean shame sliding in. And for me, and for so many people that I work with, it comes in silently. You don't always know that it's there. And the way that I know my shame shows up is I'm more quiet. That's what I tend to do. I tend to shy away from conversations. I tend to not want to go do the thing when I'm feeling a sense of shame. It just feels like overwhelming anxiety in my body. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to feel this. This is not comfortable. Okay, let me find some sort of way to turn down the volume. That's what my nervous system normally does when I'm experiencing shame. So sit down with yourself. See for yourself, when does shame show up for you? And a lot of times it's hard for us to see because we avoid feeling shame, right? This is what we do. So take a look at some things that maybe you avoid talking about or avoid going towards. That might be a place where some shame sits in. Some of the common things that I tend to hear people say when they're experiencing shame in terms of autoimmune disorders and physical intimacy is our bodies change. Not only do things hurt that didn't used to hurt, start feeling kind of old. The other thing that I notice is that you start noticing your own body feels foreign to you. So if you're feeling your own body feeling foreign to you, it's like, how is my partner going to also want to be with me if I don't want to be with me? Because I don't even know me right now. There it goes. There's the shame. So sometimes it's body parts. Sometimes our body fat composition settles in different spots. I know it definitely has for me in terms of just like feeling bloated. And when I feel more bloated, I just don't feel as sexy. Just don't feel as sexy. Other things that I'm talking to clients about is noticing for my male clients erectile dysfunction or noticing that they finish early. These are things that's like, how do we even talk about this? Or chronic pain showing up in the bedroom and one partner or both are like, ooh, ouch, ooh, ow, ooh. Like pain is, if stress doesn't kill the libido, sometimes that pain will sneak in and just suck it right out the room. So it's like, okay, how do we keep the levity? How do we keep the lightness as we're trying to find ways of connecting with each other? And so a way that can sound is sometimes if touch is in a spot that maybe used to be very pleasurable, very enjoyable, is no longer pleasurable or enjoyable because of pain or because of shame or because of you don't even know why. So sometimes it's helpful to just ask your partner. I usually encourage people to talk to their partner before making love and just saying, hey, I'm wondering if it's okay if you're touching in a certain spot and maybe if it doesn't feel the best, would it be okay if I moved you into a spot that would be a little bit better for me? Because maybe just for whatever reason, that moment is just not the best for me. And so maybe that elbow action was just really good and that's part of your relationship and y'all love that and y'all do that. More power to you. But let's say it's a rainy day and let's say all those joints in that elbow, they just don't feel very good. And so maybe instead of rubbing here on elbows or what have you, maybe moving up a little bit more in terms of the arm and just say, not this, less of this, more of this. And so when we're saying less of this, more of this, it provides an opportunity for the door to be open with your partner to know where to move next. So it's not like ouch, 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 and then okay, well we're all kind of like we just want to just avoid the pain, and so let's just not touch each other. So it's like maybe let's try this instead. Getting in that place where you can be creative with one another, you can be flexible with one another, there's not any closed doors. Anytime there's something that doesn't work, you and your partner have 3 or 4 other options that you can try on, that you can play with, that you can explore. And so, also, one of the things that I would highly recommend with that is please do not make climax the goal of making love. If you make climax the goal of making love, it automatically adds tons of pressure on the relationship. It automatically tends to increase some of the pain because we're having some anxiety and we're feeling more tense because we're in a place where we're trying to perform. So I know, especially when I've worked with Black men and women, the pressure to want to provide that safe haven for your partner when you know that when you walk out that door, things are not always going to be okay. It's like, where can I find that safe place with my partner where I can let go, where we can be ourselves, where we can connect and we can touch and we can care for one another? That's what we want, right? Right. The other conversation that I forgot to mention, sorry, that was really important for me to have with my husband in terms of autoimmune disorder is I had to start to take a look at our connection with each other and how that has shifted and changed since I've been diagnosed. So there's three different types of connection in adult romantic relationships. There's kind of this attachment where it's like, okay, this is my person. We feel connected to them. We feel good around them. We want to spend time with them. We can sit in a room and literally not say a word, but just being together feels so good, right? So that's one form of connecting in adult romantic relationships. Another form of connecting in adult romantic relationships is that spot of arousal or physical intimacy. And so that's that kind of sexier place, that's that more playful place where we can touch and be touched, and there's joy, there's levity, there's a little bit of some sauciness involved there, there's passion. That's another way of us being able to connect with our partner. The third way of being able to connect with our partner is caregiving. And so those times when my husband brought me in a hospital bag because, oops, I've got to go to the hospital. We've got to rush me to the hospital. That would be his caregiving energy. My husband coming around me, bringing me, oh goodness, what do you call those? That heated gel packs, that are so lovely. You can put them on any muscle and joint, but you can also put them on your stomach when your tummy's not feeling good. Um, him going to warm up one of those for me and bringing it to me in a pillowcase, and so I could put it on my stomach or I could put it on a muscle that doesn't feel very good. But that's caregiving energy. Me cooking a meal for him. My husband is not the cook in the family. Me sitting down to cook a meal for my husband and making sure that I get the things that he likes. And we've been ordering that stuff for him and packaging it and making sure there's enough for the kids to have food, yes, and the kids to have lunch for the next day, but to make sure that daddy has enough for the next day, that daddy is taken care of. That's my caregiving energy. And I've seen folks say things like, I'm raising a boy, this, that, and the third. Maybe it's because they're leaning too much into their caregiving energy and there's not enough of the other two types of energy and connection in the adult relationship. And so that was another thing that I checked in with my husband in the beginning about, besides energy level, stress level, was hey, I kind of feel like maybe we are putting a lot of eggs in the caregiving basket, which I'm super grateful for, 100% thankful for. At the same time, I want to take maybe a few eggs out of that basket and put them into this other basket of our passion, our sexual intimacy. One of the things I've seen happen with other couples that I've worked with is they'll say things like, well, Virginia, I don't want to be physically intimate with my partner who's diagnosed because I'm afraid that I'm going to break them. I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt them. I feel like they're fragile now. I feel like they're something to be taken care of instead of this more reciprocal kind of adult bonding relationship. And if you are finding yourself there, that is such a real spot. The way that we start to navigate having a little bit more balance is by just actually starting the conversation. But sometimes, again, we can bump up against that shame, right? Shame can be blocking us, particularly if I know for myself as I started looking at, oh, a lot of energy and a lot of our eggs are going into the caregiving basket and not enough into the sexual intimacy basket, not enough for us. And every couple's different, but not enough for us. I definitely had some shame kick up for me. I was like, ooh, am I not sexy enough? Does he still desire me? Am I gross? Am I broken to him now? Does he even see me that way anymore? Why am I saying this? I'm not saying this to look for any sort of sympathy or what have you. I need none of that. I'm saying this because this was a real life experience that happened for me. And if it's happening for me and in my bedroom, I know it's happening in your bedroom. How do I know it's happening in your bedroom? Because I hear people talking about it. And so I want to say the things that are hard to say, to hopefully humanize it, to hopefully create some space where we can all have some compassion for each other. Shame starts to dissipate when we share our stories and when we're met with compassion. Thank you, Brene Brown. Share your story with your partner. Have some compassion for yourself. Again, that's an oxygen mask that sometimes we need to put on ourselves. And if we can't, because sometimes we can't, find a place where you can get some compassion. Get that poured into you first. So then that way you can allow a little bit of that to seep in and you can start to accept some compassion for yourself. Yeah. If something I've said has been helpful for you, I do ask that you consider subscribing to my channel. That helps me out, it helps my family out, helps my husband out. Please consider subscribing. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I hope to see you next time. Take care of yourself, and please take care of each other, including your partner if you're partnered up. Take care. Bye.